Lower decks, lower decks, lower decks, lower decks. Chanting, hoo. Hi, everyone.
Suck on that in the cell. Oh, hi,
Wait,
everyone.
what? It's not that kind of show. This is a family
Lower
show.
Decks is absolutely the kind of show that has a little thing sucking on in a cell.
Yeah, but this show is aimed at kids, Danae. This is a kids show.
This show is not a kids show.
Totally
Lower
aimed
Decks,
at kids. Yeah.
Questionably a kids show. Link, thank you for your subscription on Twitch. We appreciate that. 22 months you've been supporting
Look at
the
that.
Cinema Sins Live Twitch channel. Thank you
That's
so much.
amazing.
Gonna probably
Love
only
that.
stay for episode 1 because that's okay, Nick. That's okay.
Sorry, Nick.
Hi, JCD. It's good to see you. Hello,
gonna miss all
hello.
the shades of green.
Glad to see you. Yes, I can see your chats, Link. Link. I can see your chats. Also
see
seeing
them.
them from where we usually are, which is YouTube on the Cinema Sins Podcast Network channel.
This is what I said about my freaking camera. There we go. Okay.
We'll see them from my own Twitch at Danae Says, where we simulcast there, and then obviously on the Cinema Sins. So yeah, I think we're seeing everybody.
Yep.
Hi,
I
Eights.
think we've got some people.
Hi, Jebd, who is David from Lorehounds. Good to
Hello,
see you.
David. Random Mochi.
Oh, how was that, Link? How was that? This isn't
Oh,
the show
you
to
did
talk
the
about Star
lightsaber-
Wars, but we're doing it. I'm just kidding.
You did the lightsaber building experience. That's fun. Ooh, hang on.
What are we hanging on? Do you have a lightsaber? He probably has a lightsaber. Yeah, he probably has a lightsaber. That's probably what's about to happen. Yeah, look at that. This is like Mary Poppins just pulling the stuff out of her bag. Like you just turn around and behind you. Like, I have a whole bunch of shit behind me. But none of that is the cool toy stuff.
I think the battery has run out. This is my Darth Vader lightsaber.
And you've let it fade.
Ow! Just nearly knocked over my tea.
Sin, wandering. You already have a sin. Let's read that.
Is it
This
us?
episode actually titled Dos Cerritos. Paramount Plus has it listed wrong.
I am glad you're addressing that because I pulled the episode title directly from Paramount. And I honestly, because I don't speak Spanish, I assumed they were doing like a Spanish thing. And maybe when you pluralize Cerritos, you lose the S. But yeah, everyone else has listed it as Cerritos, not Cerrito. So all of the pictures today will be saying Dos Cerrito, and the live show can enjoy it.
Okay, interesting. Hi, Cameron.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yes, you're behind the ads, which, by the way, we don't get to control the ads. That's a Twitch thing. But thank you for being here.
Sorry, guys. Hey, Cameron.
It does support Twitch, which lets us do these fun things. So I guess we can't be too picky about that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, you got to get off your ship. You got to get
That's true.
Goodbye.
Wait, did I make that rule?
Goodbye. I just kicked him off of the show. Okay, I want him back. I'm feeling uncomfortable. Sorry.
All right. Wait. Nope. I'm back.
It's
I was about to play with my lightsaber for a little bit. Yes, it does. It means 2 burritos.
Just a reminder, this is an R-rated show. Thank you guys for being here. We are going to cover both episodes of Lower Decks that were released. And so we have a lot of content to cover. Probably not going to spend a ton of time here chatting, but we will get through the bulk of the show today and then come back and chat with you at the end. We do pin your comments. We save them for later. We bring them up throughout the show. So thank you for sending those to us. What is happening now? I saw the word defense and thought it was Danae. And I was like, what did it?
Danae.
What?
Danae.
What?
Danae.
What?
Danae.
And so we're gonna probably not chat too much, though we have missed you and we're glad to be back. We will be going live every week to cover the 5th and final season of Lower Decks with you guys.
Yeah, we are.
And thank you to those who watch the broadcast of this later, whether it's on Twitch where it lives for I think only 2 weeks and then disappears forever. But you can always go back and watch all of these shows on our YouTube channel. If you go into the video section, you can see all of our.
And I read your comments as well. I read the YouTube comments, and
so
they are hilarious.
We need to know what you've been doing we've missed you.
Everything.
We'd rather know what you are doing.
Yeah.
You should tell us
day by day breakdown of what you've been up to over the last 30 days.
I decided to go to a new hair salon.
Mm-hmm.
And they have an entire onboarding process that's really interesting. And I enjoyed it, but I'm curious what you guys are going to think. So the first thing you do is you go to their website and you fill out you click a little button for like a quiz, and you tell the quiz about your hair and your personality style, and you're matched with a stylist, somebody who knows how to do hair like yours, somebody who maybe matches your personality. Then you book a 15-minute consultation where you go in and they touch your hair and ask questions and make sure that they know your goals for your hair. And then you are handed a card and you scan the QR code, you book your own appointment, and they receive the request and they decide whether or not they want to accept your request to see them or not. Then they say yes, hopefully, which is what happened to me. I got a yes. And then you can schedule your appointment. And while you're waiting in between the time you've booked the appointment until you sit in the chair for getting your hair done, which I realize this is probably very different than what dudes have to do, but this is what I'm doing. I was sent 5 emails, and in each email, I was given more and more information about how the salon runs and how it's different than other salons. Because usually you just call, you book, you show up, you sit down in a chair, you leave. But this was like, you're booking your own appointments. There's no receptionist. There's no phone number to call if you need to make a change. So you kind of have to know how to do that. They have if you're late, here's what to do. So there's like a lot of information because you're in charge of sort of your own schedule. And so it's kind of educating the person about how the salon is different and other things that you might want to know. Like they don't have a big waiting area. So if you bring people with you, they better be ready to kind of just go over in the little quiet corner where they have a couch that looks like 2 hands holding your butt and read a book quietly. So it felt like a secret society. And that's, I think, one of the reasons I was having a fun time. I'm like, ooh, this feels so exclusive. An inclusive, exclusive experience. And yeah, so that was one of the big things that has happened to me in the last couple of weeks is I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to get into the salon. And I was accepted. And I followed the rules. And the owner of the salon said, I noticed that you showed up exactly when we asked you to show up. And I was like, I like following the rules.
What time were you told to show up?
Exactly 3 minutes before my appointment.
Uh-huh. I think this is a genius business model because it is usually you like compete for customers. This is kind of convincing you to compete for them and also hiring you as a receptionist. Like it's kind of backwards genius.
Yeah, I can see that. It honestly, I texted a friend of mine and I said, I'm either about to join a cult or this is one of the best hair salons I've ever been to.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Both can be true. Both things can be true.
And it's just like beautiful live plants everywhere. And like, they're definitely burning sage. And maybe like Nag Champa sort of like stuff.
They knew you were coming.
Smells amazing. Yeah, exactly. I bring a lot of baggage with me emotionally and spiritually. Yeah, I have a trail of demonic invisible heroes. Actually, they're constantly at battle. I've got demons on my left, angels on my right. So wherever I go, if there's sage, instantly helps. Just at least to draw some sort of neutral Like,
are we saying that angels and demons are both against sage?
it calms them. There's not a war, at least
I
while the sage is around.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. That's good to know. This is important stuff.
Yeah, it is. It was awesome. I get my hair cut by letting it grow. Wait, yeah. I have been growing my hair for years and years and years, and I just wanted to add some shape to it. And the last time I went to go get my hair cut, they were really scared of cutting my hair. They wouldn't cut into it.
That seems quite paralyzing for a hairdresser. Having a fear of cutting hair. That doesn't seem productive. I still had to pay
for it. I was there for almost 2 hours, and they basically did nothing. Head? Yeah, just a nice So I enjoyed that I got a chance to look this person in the eye and be like, "Are you comfortable cutting hair?"
Just gonna check in with you, okay?
Just gonna ask.
Oh, I love a good Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference, David. It's amazing.
Man. Look at that. I'm bald. That's too much. All I got is a beard. Do you go get your beard professionally trimmed? Do you
Me?
No, I'm talking to Phil. Who do you think?
Sorry. Thought you were talking to your co-host. My mistake. Yeah. Why would you talk to me? I guess you do have a beard as well. Yeah, but the other person with a beard in this conversation. Yeah.
I know you do because you've talked about it before. You go in and then they shape it and they do all this stuff, but then you don't do that in between.
No,
you just
they don't let me.
Full.
No, yeah, my hairdresser barber person, she's like, don't do it yourself. If you need to and you're walking by, pop in and I'll do it for you, but please don't touch it yourself, which is annoying because my stash grows 75% faster than the rest of my beard. So I have to do something with that or it gets very Mario.
You do look very Mario from time to time.
Yes.
Or lumberjack where it just starts to go almost
kind of goes outwards.
Laterally.
Yeah, it comes outwards. Yeah. And then beyond that, gravity will take it down again. But yeah, really I should be in the beard place every 2 weeks to keep it.
And how much would that cost you?
That would cost me more than I'm comfortable paying to maintain facial hair.
This is what I was saying. Is it's so it's so it's so expensive.
Yeah, but I want it done properly because it's my face. And I quite like my face looking how I like my face to look.
Totally get it. Completely. For me, I don't want to cut bangs this short. So these are the new things that they did. And I don't feel comfortable doing that.
That's fair. That's fair.
So, but I don't want to spend a ton of money.
Yeah, 90% of the videos I've seen on the internet of people cutting their own hair is doing that wrong because they pull it really tight and then they cut it. And then you're not supposed to pull it really tight. You're meant to leave it loose because then it's shorter than you want it to be.
That's right.
See how I could do that.
I sleep all night and I work all day.
Oh, and for our English listeners or UK listeners, bangs is fringe. Your fringe. We don't say bangs.
Because it's bangers and mash. So people think I'm just putting potatoes on my face?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, I love it. There's so many things I say wrong.
I got bangs. It's like, you did what now? My gosh.
You know what? No.
Yep. What?
I just want to make sure I know what I'm saying. Sometimes, that one time that we were having a nice dinner with your parents, I kept talking about my pants the entire time, and he was just your dad was like,
just outwardly giggling, just absolutely giggling.
He got
she said pants.
He stopped kind of smiling and pursed his lips together, and then they got tighter and tighter and tighter, and his eyes got larger and larger and larger. His face got redder and redder and redder until he just couldn't hold it back anymore. And then he burst out into laughter, and I'm like, "What is that? That wasn't? Did I say something funny? Just pants, 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 pants,
you sure
pants,
did.
pants, pants,
panties. Speaking of bangers and mash, it might be the biggest gift that I gave to the Dices on their visit was showing them the most fantastic bangers and mash restaurant in London.
The one in London?
And they adored it. I had no idea, but there's 2 of them in London.
Oh.
And I found this out by taking us to the wrong one. And I was like, it's just round the corner, I'm sure. Half an hour later, oh, this isn't right. But it's so good they made 2 of them within a mile of each other. It's so yummy.
That was when we discovered that one, we were wandering around, I think before we went to the show, the drag show.
Yes,
right? Isn't that
was
right?
it. Yeah. It was the Jinx.
a Jinx Monsoon, Jinx and
this one.
Yes,
Jinx and
De La
Della.
Creme.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were going to that show and we're wandering around, and in London, thought it was really fun. Like all these just kind of small streets with cobblestone, and then the walls are actually like little bitty places that you can pop in and either get something to eat or the little shops. And we found ourselves on this, it looks like an alley, but it's just London. And they have like the lights that were strung between, and it was nighttime. It was so pretty, and we're hungry, and we just look over and there's this place. What was it called? Mother Mash.
Mother Mash.
That's
Mother
it.
Mash.
And it's just sausages and potatoes and coming from a
So
German
good.
family. I'm like, that sounds exactly perfect.
There are also pies. And they are delicious. Dicer had sausages and pie, and it was so good.
They had so many sausages. I have this picture of you at this restaurant. So Jen and I were sitting beside each other, and we had both ordered our mash and sausages or sauce and mash smashes. And it was far too many sausages for anyone. Not anyone.
No, disagree.
No,
you
no,
had two.
no,
Jen had two.
no.
I had two.
You had so many.
No, I had
because
three. I ordered an extra one.
we had to give you, because we both could not eat all of it. So I have this picture of you, and if you were a dog, it was a tail, just a bit like wagging just rapidly in the background, where you were just so happy because you were just eating all these sausages.
So good. Because
How
the
do you
genius
eat
of
that
this,
much? Crazy.
The genius of this menu is that it's split into three parts. You pick the type of sausage, you pick the type of mash, you pick the type of gravy. And then they put it all together. So it's like lovely mash, and then lovely three types of sausages, and then onion gravy. Is beautiful. It's so
good.
They did
Hey, it was good to see you.
mash.
Thank you for stopping
Cheerio.
by. We'll
And that
see you
thing
again
that
soon.
I'm supposed to have sent you weeks ago, David, I will send you very soon when I stop being such a busy bee. I appreciate you.
Speaking of being a busy bee, we probably need to start the show. So
We really do. I'm going to
have you
quickly
updated the
share
banner?
something. Nope. I'm going to share something on request from, on request from Link. Here we go. This is his lightsaber. Check it out. Cool. Look at that handle. That handle's beautiful. The purple blade. Love it. Beautiful lightsaber, Link.
Look at that.
Beautiful.
I like the purple a lot. That's pretty.
Yeah, I like that. That's pretty.
That's nice.
Well, why have you moved my thing? There we go. Okay. Wait. No. Stop it. Stop it. Fire faces at you and torpedoes.
No.
Quit it.
I ran away.
That's not running away. You just
Also not run away. Hold on.
pressed a button. Nope.
Oh, I sneak away.
This is you running away. Bye-bye. And she's gone. Wait, I can bring her back. Amazing.
Oh my god. All right, well, we're ready to start the show. Thank you guys for joining us for the live show. We're gonna stop talking to you now. Sorry about that. We'll be back later. Let's go.
Oh, wow, that was quick. Okay, let's do it.
I love how Slab always comments that not to forget the star date, but
I know every week. Stop it.
but you already record that. That's already recorded.
Yeah. Welcome to the joke, Danae. They're trying to trip me up to get me to say it again.
I thought he was genuinely being like,
Nope.
like, okay.
Nope. Not trying to be helpful. Do you think our live chat would be helpful?
Yes.
That's true. They are pretty great. Okay. Welcome to 10 Forward.
He's saying I'm being helpful.
Who?
I believe him.
I don't believe you at all.
Sorry.
Well,
Okay.
stop it. Wait, we're beaming into 10 Forward. This is part of the show where we re-engage our cinema. No, stop it. Now I'm actually going to screw it up. Quit it. Quit it.
I didn't do anything. Like, what are you talking about?
Clip it. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab something from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode we just watched together. Most important question first, what Dos Cerritos related thing would you like from the replicator for our first sojourn into into talking about things?
Oh, wow. I'm going to go with laughing gas for sure.
Yeah. It's the wrong effort.
Yeah. Laughing gas was from the first one, right?
Was it?
Oh.
No, it was the... Oh. Was it?
Was it? Oh, I didn't know.
Was it from the... I don't...
My goodness.
Wait, was it? Yeah, no, it was. Well done. So I'm going to have an edition of Fleet Magazine to see if I make it into the 30 under 30, even though I'm over 30. So I guess I'll be in the honorable mentions of, hey, this guy's great, but he's over 30.
I love your confidence.
Give us a synopsis, Ambassador.
Oh, this is going to be tricky. Every time we do 2 episodes, it is so hard to keep them apart. But
wait, when have we ever done 2 episodes before?
We've done 2 episodes before.
When?
That one time.
One time that we never did it?
No, we have.
I think this is the first time, because I've been vehemently against this, because if someone's searching for, I want to listen to this episode, they've also got to listen to the other episode. That's why I've been anti doing that. But I could be wrong.
Wow. Just the start of today's show is just,
it's
Danae, are you sure?
Are
you sure, Danae? Oh, maybe I should just wait for the chat to back you up and then I'll be like, oh, you're right. Like multiple times.
Okay, that's the synopsis of our episode. What's the synopsis of Dos Cerritos?
You're such a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah. In today's episode, there are 2 Cerritos. Oh, are you surprised? It was in the title. You shouldn't have been surprised. But why is it different? Why is it interesting? Because they're basically exactly the same, but only slightly different, which is why they can beam the wrong person to the wrong ship. Then we don't ask any questions about that.
0.37% different.
Do you want to know what a depressed Rutherford looks like in the future? Boy, you're going to find out. What happens if Mariner decides to take her whip out? You're going to find out.
Yeah, anticlimactic. When you say it that way.
What if Boimler was the best? You're going to find out. And is Tendi having fun? You're going to find out the answer's no.
No.
All in today's episode.
Wow, this first episode, Ambassador, the opening to season 5, overall thoughts and feelings. Did you like it?
Yeah, it was okay. Yeah, it was okay. I was like, oh, look, there's the crew. And also the crew. And I think it had some fun with comparing what another crew would be looking like or doing with only slightly different choices having been made at some point. I really thought for a second that I'm going to say quote unquote bad Mariner was actually going to make it back, and that would be the rest of the season, like this sort of parallel connection. And I thought that would be
interesting,
a really interesting decision to make. But
Mariner?
They kind of resolve that pretty quickly,
yeah,
and then it sort of deflates the episode for me a little bit.
Oh, interesting. How come?
Because I'm not sure what the show wants us to be confident in at the end of this episode is that Boimler is going to be able to become more confident so that he can become a leader, because he's seen it happen. Like sometimes people will say you have to visualize what you want and then it begins to manifest itself. And I think Boimler got to see an example of himself being very successful, and he couldn't really doubt what he saw. It wasn't in a holodeck. It was something that he actually saw an alternate reality, and he has the playbook now, which is very interesting.
Yes.
So maybe that was the point of kind of the episode for that character. And then for Mariner, we start off episode that we end the episode rather with her nervous about new ensigns coming on and being in charge of them, and sort of resolving inside of herself that she wants to be a better example than she had. So maybe the show didn't feel like the characters had earned that achievement already, like that they couldn't start the episode with Boimler being confident that he can be a captain someday, and with Mariner being confident that she can be a good leader, and they had to have them face themselves kind of again, because Mariner's already faced herself a few times, I think, at this point, right? At least twice. I mean, but one was the, holodeck version. So
yep, exactly.
So I don't know. It was like, okay, well, what was the point of all of it? Rutherford, he got to see himself without Tendi and kind of going, "Ooh, I don't know that I want to go that far." So I don't know. Maybe it's a way for us to, because one of the things I was a little concerned about was that the season would be sort of stretching things out a little bit too far. But maybe this episode very clearly says we're not stretching things out very far. Everyone's going to have their resolution within the first episode so that we can do something else. And so, because we don't have to see Rutherford struggle with Tendi for very long. We don't have to, like everyone's sort of internal struggle seems to be pretty quickly resolved, which for a storytelling purpose is a bit of a relief for me, because I don't like things to be stretched out too far. Just in general, things break when you stretch them too far.
It's true. Yeah, I think it's a solid opening. I definitely preferred, not that we're doing a comparison, but I preferred the first episode over the second one. I think you're right. I think the goal of this episode was to reestablish where our lower deckers are and what the obstacles are to the next steps for them and their progression. And I always think personally, I love the parallel universe, parallel dimension episodes. I love seeing the playbook of like the what ifs and what could have been. And this episode wasn't really about that though, because the differences were so minimal. It was much more about, hey, if you had a little bit more confidence, Boimler, or if you weren't quite so rebellious, Mariner, this is where you would be. Like, this is what you're working towards, and this is where you'd be if you'd got there quicker. And I think that's going to work better as a launching point for Boimler going forward, because he literally has the playbook of how his more successful Boimler managed to be as confident as he is now, mainly through growing a beard. That is the number one bit of advice that I took from my alternate dimension person. It was like, hey, you're going to do great if you grow a beard. I grew a beard. I'm waiting for the do great part to kick in, but the beard feels comfortable. That's good. Great.
That's good. I did write down in my notes, because as the story progresses, they, of course, when all the characters see their alternate version, there is a genuine curiosity about them. And then there's like kind of a complimentary phase where they're sort of playing off of each other, like how look at the handsomes, the ransom handsomes and stuff like this.
So fun. It's aggressively complimenting each other, even when they're angry.
Yes. And then there's a moment when the episode begins to show what it would be like to argue with yourself. And I kind of had this moment where I sat back and was watching the show while also kind of contemplating what it would be like to come face to face with basically the exact version of myself, with very, very little changes. Because that's the premise of this episode, is that there's not too many variances from where we are today. You said horrible. Tell me about why you think, like, what would happen? Have you, this is such a fun, like, mental gymnastics moment for me.
This isn't the first time I've seen Star Trek do this. Stargate, like, lots of shows have done this. So from a very young age, I've thought, man, what if I was in that position? And the cliche is they almost immediately start arguing with each other, because deep down we're all very insecure people, and we don't like being faced with ourselves quite so literally. So my instinct has always been it would be absolutely horrible. I'd like to think I'd get on with myself, but I think I'd annoy the shit out of me, to be honest. But it's a great thought experiment, because it's like, why? What is it about me that I do outwardly that would annoy me inwardly. And it's that like kind of opposites attract thing, which I do think holds true. And I think two things that are exactly the same would clash. We would both be trying to perform the same function, the same purpose, serve each other in the same way, and it would be very frustrating is my instinct.
Yeah, it would be.
Do you think you would just like have coffee and just have a great time?
I mean, I was just trying to figure out what it would be like, because both of us would know that what we really want is just to justify a reason to play Minecraft for the rest of the day.
Oh, so you're going to put yours to work, like your.
But then my other one would be like, no, I'm doing the same thing to you. So immediately we'd have to have some kind of a compromise of like, okay, you do chores for an hour and then I'll do chores tomorrow. We can both play Minecraft, but then, and we both would be able to know exactly how we like to play Minecraft. So it'd be kind of cool. So pretty much, I think like we'd get along for a little bit until like one of us would say something like, man, I really am hungry. And immediately the other one says, oh, and so you want me to be the one that makes dinner? Because, do you know what I mean? Like it would just...
You'd get passive aggressive with each other?
Super fast. Yeah.
What's amazing is there's a movie that came out this year called The Substance, and it's not for everybody, but you've basically described a very similar plot where a person is faced with another version of themselves that they have to cooperate with. And it goes down basically as you'd expect. So it's funny how pervasive that idea of we would not be able to work with ourselves.
I don't think that we would.
Consistent throughout like our psyche as a human. I think if we watched a show that was all of them getting along hunky-dory, then it wouldn't feel real. Like I wrote down, I kind of like that they're not following the cliche of everyone immediately argues with each other, because they get along for a good portion of the episode and then they start fighting. And I was like, that actually makes more sense. It would be weird if they got along the entire time. And one of I think the line of the episode for me was there will be no interpersonal conflict on my ship, as Captain Becky goes into the cargo bay and everyone's arguing, because that's such a backhanded nod to TNG, where in the early seasons the writers got really frustrated because they weren't allowed to have conflict between a lot of the characters, because in Roddenberry's mind we've kind of got past that, and this crew is so cohesive that there's other ways to get past their differences and they don't really argue. But they were like, yeah, but it's human. And we want people to fight. So you see a lot more of it in Deep Space Nine and not enough of it in TNG. So the fact that
really
Mariner,
interesting.
the Captain, what are we calling her? Captain Becky. That Captain Becky is much more Picard. And that's led to there is no interpersonal conflict. That's it. That's how we ended up with an Enterprise D. And she's like the more extreme version of that. It's very interesting.
That's really, really interesting. I like the idea. I like the thought process. I kind of want to spend the rest of the episode talking about how I can see like certain scenes in my actual life going if I had, like, for example, I would walk into my office one day and version Danae 2.0 would have taken everything off of my shelves because it's just time to reorganize it for some reason. But like version 1.0, not ready for that.
It wasn't the same time for that, Danae. Yeah, you were going to get into that maybe a few hours from now, because you are in your moment so much.
Right. But in a weird way, and I'm not going to turn this into a parenting podcast, in a weird way, having a child is very similar to this, because
I can see
let's say Iris comes in and she wants to do something. I kind of take a back seat and go, is it really that big of a deal if this gets reorganized, if nothing's broken, and things are respected, or even if they are broken and it's just an accident, is that really a big deal? So it's kind of like taking a back seat, but taking a back seat to myself, who is also an active living participant in life. I would be really fascinated by that. And I kind of like, for the first time in a very deep way, wish I was living in Star Trek world, because I kind of want this to happen. And what was really funny is at the beginning of this episode, it's kind of like, oh man, another time portal, blah, blah, blah.
Another disruption in space. Let's see what's going to happen this week.
Fill the pothole. But they've probably experienced something like this before. And so when they go through, it's like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And it just seems like one of those moments when you think, okay, what version of myself am I going to meet when the Captain Freeman, like, all right, on screen, here we go. What are we going to be facing today?
Yeah,
sort of
what
the vibe.
wackiness is going to happen?
And it's such a casual reaction to meeting yourself. Whereas if, like, obviously in our lives, if we met ourselves, it would be insane.
Yeah,
it would be absolutely insane. And I kind of, the only way to really perceive it is just to sit down and talk about it for several hours with your friends. And I think that's one of the things I love about Star Trek content is that if you're watching with your buddies and you stop and you talk about it immediately, really interesting conversations happen. Like super interesting stuff.
Yeah. And it's a testament to Lower Deck's awareness that every storyline has kind of been done in Star Trek at some point over the last 60 years. Not every storyline, but these adventures have happened. So it is old hat to the crew. They would have been taught about this in the academy. Like, this is what to prepare for. It happened to the Enterprise. It's happened throughout history. Here's what to expect. So, but what I love about Lower Decks is that even with that knowledge, they still are surprised. They still fuck it up. There's still stuff that they can't be 100% prepared for. And I kind of like that they were in their parallel universe as well. Like, it wasn't a ship was brought into the quote unquote prime timeline that they argued over.
Right.
They jumped into theirs. So there are so many ways that could have gone. That could have been a 2-parter. That could have been a full 45 minutes of nonsense. But I think it's a really safe way to open the season because it's a classic TNG Star Trek tropey episode thing. I think the most famous one in TNG is probably Worf's episode Parallels, where he is uncontrollably jumping through different timelines where life has gone differently. One of them, he's married to Deanna. One of them, the Borg killed Picard and he didn't survive. And there's just loads of like shenanigans that happen, and Worf has to deal with this is how life could have gone in different routes. And it's like Ransom nods back to it as well when Freeman is asking, what happened to me? And Ransom just like, let's just say it's nice to see you again, Captain. That's what Riker says. There's a parallel universe Riker where his Picard doesn't make it. And they're like working out how to get the Enterprises back to their own dimension. And he's just like, hey, Captain, it's really good to see you again. And Picard has no idea what the weight of that is.
Yeah. I immediately assumed Freeman was dead.
Of course. Yeah.
So,
which it's a genius turn to flip it into relegation to Starbase 80.
So it's such a funny thing to end it. Yeah. At the end,
It's
which
amazing.
is like this offhand comment right before. Like it's just in passing. Good to see you. Don't fuck up and go to Starbase 80.
God damn it. So the other element of the last thing I wanted to mention about the doubles was the Rutherfordness of it. That was the bit where I was like, skip a little bit, because he spelled out the thing I didn't need spelling out. Like, I don't mean all of it. I mean like the resolution, quote unquote, to it, because I get it. Rutherford is seeing the version of him that just deletes Tendi, deletes his friend, and it's a warning for him not to go down that path. Like, he's buried himself in his work to block out the sad thoughts. But then they just like literally spell it out at the end. It's like, I saw the future that could have been in front of me without Tendi in my life. And I'm like, oh no, we got it. I didn't need that to be spelled out to me. So it is interesting.
But maybe the children did.
Yeah, the children that are watching the amount of fucks in this show. But
and
there's just certain
too.
There's certain things I don't need spelling. But that's the difficulty of writing as well. Sometimes it can be tricky to know what has to be spelled out and what can be implied. But I think the message was there. I didn't need it hammered home all of the way into my positronic matrix.
It's really like having just watched a whole series on augmenting our bodies, whether it's through like cosmetic surgeries or things like this. There's like a point when you have to ask yourself what's too far, and almost like an addiction to changing part of you. And for Rutherford, it has pretty much been just this implant, but we've seen how it tweaks his personality, and it freaked me out. So to see Rutherford go further down the path and have this baby arm thing, and all of the little extras that he has.
Fucking baby arm. That killed me. That little baby arm that comes out and hugs him. That killed me. That was so funny. Oh, they're there.
Little pat,
Your
pat,
arms
pat.
are free. They're both free. And the tiny little baby arm. What is it about tiny limbs?
It was really, really funny.
Yeah.
But to see him go like that far, I liked seeing that because as a viewer, I was, oh, please don't go that far, Rutherford. Like, it's clear. And he even says it out loud. And this is something the writers, I think, do a really brilliant job of, is they've really captured a way of communicating, which is saying exactly what is going on in such a way that is both humor and done with this levity that I experience in my life. Like, I have friends that I communicate like this. So when Rutherford's like, I just want to distract myself so that I don't feel anything, because sadness, I don't want to feel.
I'm going to stay busy so that my mind can't concentrate on the bad thoughts.
That's right. That's right. I've said that out loud
Yeah.
to my friends. I don't want to think about this right now. And so I really relate to Rutherford's struggle, where he's distracting himself with all of the things. And when there's more work, great, that gives me less things to think about. Though that's a very real part of life. And so to see that go then to the extreme, in any way, whether it's in my actual life and, looking forward and going, oh, I don't want him to go that far. Like, that's a little too far. I didn't like seeing Rutherford like that.
Yeah.
I didn't, because his personality was gone.
He's lost his pip. He's lost his okie
Called
dokie.
him a Borg.
He did.
They call him a Borg.
They do.
Eesh.
I mean, that felt a bit far, actually. That felt like a little bit of an insult to, like, augmented life forms.
Yeah.
Like, not everyone with tech in them is a Borg, is going to be a mindless drone or a mass murderer. It was an interesting line. One of the ways that they nail Rutherford every time that I love so much, it's when Becky is pretending to be Beckett Mariner, and she's like, oh, let's go, Butterinos. And Boimler is like, that's weird. And she's like, trying something new. And Rutherford's just like, I love it. I was like, of course you would. Because that's how
it's a new word. I love it.
This is great. And I love the sorry, go on.
No.
I love the thing that wasn't predictable when he does spell out this is what, like, oh, Rutherford, I guess, is like augmented himself and he's not as emotional. And he's just like contemplating, like, what do I do next? And he's like, I know what I'll do. I've got to be his tendy. Like, that got me because I didn't expect him to say that. But yet it's such a Rutherford thing to do. It's like, I'll be his tendy because he doesn't have one. Great. When I thought he was going to say, oh, I should do that. I should delete tendy from my brain. That's the solution.
No, he's not there yet, I don't think.
No, I don't think he would be. It's
What
really
a clever,
fun.
the more I think about it, the more I think it's a very clever start to the season, because looking in the mirror is a very eye-opening experience. If you really, truly, I participated in this, cult once, and I just went for a weekend. I was fine. And they lived in the woods, and they were very hippie-esque people, and it was like this really cool, it wasn't really a cult, like they didn't ask me
cult
to
has
join
a
it.
lot
It
of
was
bad connotations. This was a group, I would assume.
I want to clarify that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
not a literal cult.
No, it was but it was a very like a hippie like retreat. Wondering, you broke the show. Stop it.
That was amazing. I can hear it without a beat being missed. I can hear that. That was amazing. Maximum points.
One of the activities that was there was this it's the maze where they had like mowed a pattern into the grass, and then they had a participant that was like part of the staff of this event at certain points along the path, and they would give you something to think about as you walk the next like part of the maze. And so it was here is a seed. When this seed grows into what it grows into, what do you want it to become? And like you had to think about that for the next part of your journey. And like each question got kind of deeper and deeper and deeper. And when we got to the center of the maze, we had been thinking about all of these things about what we wanted the seed to grow into, and we were going to be revealing what it would grow into. And I take off the sheet, or this beautiful piece of tapestry, and there was a mirror, and I was just staring at myself, and it totally took me off guard, because here I am in the middle of nowhere, no cell service. It's just like this really deep contemplative, like, who do I want this seed to be? But then it's like, oh, the seed is you. And it was just like this, it fucking blew my mind. And I'm just staring at myself, and I realize I have to figure out who like I want to be. And I hope that everybody has a time in their life when they have kind of a second to just pause and really like look at yourself and say, the path that I'm on is the path that I've been on. What do I want the future to be like? And it's such a pivotal point for me. Mm-hmm. And so for this episode to do something like really similar to that, and have them really come face to face with themselves and have it impact the rest of their journey, the more I think about it, the more I think this was a really great way to open up this season. So
yeah, I think it's a clever way to open it. Reaffirms who everyone is, where they are in their story. I love that Mariner isn't immediately combative. She's like, oh no, I actually do want tips. Like she starts off being a dick, but she's like, no, seriously, I would like to
really help me out.
That was so refreshing, because season 1 Mariner would have been like, nah, screw you, backwards salutes, I don't need you.
Oh, how
You're
was
not
that
the
for
best
you?
version of me. That was so
we're talking
great.
about the sassy Vulcan salute, right?
Yeah, when Becky ties her up and she does the backwards Vulcan salute. Don't you give me that sassy backwards Vulcan salute.
Which is what her mother said to her.
In season 1, yeah.
In season 1.
It's so great. Oh, that's what that feels like.
Yes.
Yeah, there were a few season 1 callbacks, which I'm actually holding for the sinning section, because that's interesting. And like... I'm going to save it for the sin, blah, blah, blah. Couple of other, well, I guess we've done, that's the like kind of A plot. The B plot is now Tendi trying to do her thing to get back to the ship. So paying off her debt to her sister and her family so that she can rejoin Starfleet, but along the way trying to make the Orions slightly less piratey than they are.
And finding out that they also want to be slightly less piratey themselves. They want to dance. They want to sing. They want to learn how to bake.
That is the element I really, really liked, because it's very in keeping with Tendi's arc, because Tendi has been hey, not all Orions, we're not all pirates, we're not all bastards. Even though 900 years from now in Discovery, the Orions that we see in Discovery are still pirates and bastards. So there is
only
like this...
the ones we can see.
Correct. The ones that we can see. Exactly. So Tendi is really fighting this uphill battle of making the Orions a little bit more Starfleet and a little bit less piratey. My favorite crux of this B plot is the fact that the most pirate thing Tendi could have done was reject being a pirate and going off to do her own thing. Like, I hadn't thought of it that way, because the pirating life historically is master of your own ship. There's not a lot of trust there, lots of changes in command, much more like Klingons, to be honest. So the fact that they have like this syndicate and this organized amount of pirates isn't very pirate. So I love that they kind of latch on to Tendi being a pirate role model because she refuses to be a pirate is a beautiful bit of storytelling. I love that.
Yeah. I don't know. We're not going to be bleeding too much into episode 2, but we do get to have a nice glimpse into what the Orions are about. And I think we talked about it and when we've discussed Lower Decks before as well, the idea of like kind of expanding more on this particular alien species and how they work. And yeah, we find out a lot in episode 1 and 2, but in episode 1, what we discover is that Tendi is really trying to Starfleet her way into pirating or pirate her way into Starfleeting. It's kind of like this struggle.
Her way out of pirating?
Yeah, that's it. That's the one. And she is doing things that subvert their lifestyle enough that it's offensive, but then also accepted pretty quickly, which I think the show needed to do. We didn't need to spend a ton of time trying to figure that part out.
Yeah.
And so her sister gives her this mission to retrieve an old ship that would be like a really big boon for them. And it would essentially completely wipe off Tendi's, like all of her debt to the family so she can return to Starfleet. And when they get there, it is a medical ship. And there's like history there. Is this anything that I'm missing? Like that there's like history, or is this the show building its own history? Because I felt like, oh, it's a medical ship. And I'm thinking I probably am missing some context.
Well, the Orions do pop up in Enterprise, and that would be roughly 250 years ago. I think my instinct is that this Orion technology predates the earliest point that we've seen the Orions in canon. So I think they're adding to the canon here. This isn't something that we know about on screen, I think, because that would make it like 2080, 2090, and that's before Enterprise. So I think this is adding to the Orion canon.
Okay. Interesting.
Which is really fun. I love it when Lower Decks is allowed to do that. That's great.
I also like the ship design was pretty cool. Like when they actually eventually take off and it has like the sort of windy turbine thing on the back with all the little balls on it.
Yeah.
Really
like,
pretty.
It's not the first time we've seen a solar sail ship in Star Trek, and they're always beautiful. Like, it's such a cool bit of technology.
So then we find out, though, that even though the ship has been returned, because they took the ship in without murder, they sort of have broken some kind of code, and a war is declared between the Blue Ryans and the Green Ryans.
And welcome to the deepest cut in the episode. This is not the first time we've seen Blue Orions either. I had to do a little bit of scrambling research while also taking notes, because hand on heart, I didn't know about the Blue Orions because I haven't seen every episode of the animated series yet. But they do appear in the animated series, which came out a few years after the original series. The reason they're blue, apparently, is because they're easier to animate if they're blue compared to green. So something about the way they were animating the TV show made the tone of blue stand out better and worked better than animating a green color, because green isn't one of the my instinct is that green isn't a primary color, blue is. So in the maybe that makes it easier, I don't know. But also their uniforms are exactly the same as well, because the boring Orion slave garb that we see in the original series doesn't pop in animation either. So they gave them new costumes, new hair, and different skin color. It's beautiful for Lower Decks to give them the gift of pulling them out of the archive and bringing them up to date. This is where the Blue Orions are now, and this is their history, and this is what they are.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's such a Lower Decks thing to do.
And now we have a war between the Greens and the Blues, because the Greens did things a little bit too differently. So that's sort of where episode 1 ends. Like the Orion stuff, the Tendi timeline, I'm glad to see what she's doing. It's fun to see her kick ass. It's fun to see her still struggle with like the morals that she now has, or the standards, the Starfleet standards that she has, that are really strong, and she's not overriding them with this new life. Like she's not just going into the pirating murder lifestyle so that she can get back to Starfleet. This is just who Tendi is. She is a caring person who's trying to do things to where everyone can make it out alive, even if you're the enemy. And so we're kind of reminded about like her story. Yeah. So even though she's paid the debt, big twist, she's not going to go back to Starfleet.
She's choosing to stay. To fix the problem that she started. Yeah, love that. Before we do some sins, a couple of other references. Naomi Wildman gets a shout out, who is a child that was born in the first season of Voyager on board the ship. She was born in the Delta Quadrant and became kind of like a Wesley, but more likable on the ship. And she was adorable because she wanted to be the captain's assistant, and she was just this adorable kid. And she would be 10 at this point. So we're firmly 3 years after Voyager has returned. So it's fun for Naomi the Prodigy to get a shout out. And we open with a big reference to the most toys. So the guy with the gold thing going through his face, showing Tendi around his collection. That I don't know if it's that character. It may well be that exact character, but definitely that species. Is being shown around a different collection. They're like competitive collectors, and somebody has kidnapped Data and is adding him to their collection. So the room looks very, very similar. And that gold thing, it's like sometimes Lower Decks pulls things out of my brain, and I know this is what's happening. They're Star Trek fans, they have the same questions. I've always wondered how that gold thing goes into the person's face. Is it biological? Is it decorative? What is it? And the fact that Tendy's first officer or whatever is tugging on it, and then the guy shouts out, like, what does he say? It's decorative, or... He tells us exactly like what it is, and it answers the question. It's basically an earring. Like, it's not part of their biology. It's something that they add to it. Yeah, it's connected. Stop pulling on it. It's so funny. So I love that. It's a lovely deep cut reference to open the season with. And the last thing I wanted to mention that made me laugh was when Mariner is trying to prove who she is and that she's the right Beckett. And just like,
oh, that got me.
You showed me that weird molar. They're like, yeah, cut it. Okay, it's you. I get it.
Mom, it's me. I can prove it. You showed me a weird mole last week.
It just got me. It's so good. It's so funny.
Oh, yeah. That was really, really funny.
Just proper good laughs. So yeah, solid episode. Pips for the episode.
Oh, I'm going to give it... I think I'm going to give it 4 pips. We had some fun action.
Yeah.
We had, we got to see a lot of different places. I feel like we did. Nope. I'm thinking of both episodes at the same time again. Gosh darn it. Yeah, I think it was a solid start to the season. So I think I'm going to give it 4 pips.
I'm going to give it 3.5.
Are we doing halves?
My rules.
I'll do 3.5 as well.
Let's do 3.5.
Let's 3.5.
We're inventing ranks because there's technically not a 3.5 rank. It would be like Commander, or Captain Commander. Anyway, 3.5. Solid. Not like an all-timer of an episode that I'll remember for all time, but I did really, really enjoy it. It made me laugh, and it's a great way to open the season. 2 engineering for some sins. 2 to beam out.
Warning.
Shit.
Warning.
There we go.
Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
Indeed.
Red alarm. This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sim brains and remind ourselves that no TV shows without sin, even our beloved Star Trek ambassador. You first.
I don't really know, man. I don't have any sins. I'm sure I'll think of something.
A perfect episode?
No, it's not a perfect episode. I just was watching it. I wasn't remembering to sin it. People turning from wanting to kill Tendy to wanting to bake is convenient. Is probably the part that I didn't connect to the most. That I feel is quote unquote like the most sinful. But that's about. I mean, I'm sorry. I just don't really.
There is a big swing into self-resolving issues on the Tendy side of the plot. Because once they do all of the revealing and she's like, we can teach people through dance. And that dance move reveals the purpose of the ship as well. I always get a little twinge when serendipity solves the problem that Tendy and her crew should be smart enough to solve as well. Like, I didn't need that fluke of kicking the ship that then reveals all of the power systems come back on and tells them what it is. It's like, use your brain, not fluke.
We forgot to talk about the intro.
Oh shit! I've got that on my notes. Okay.
We forgot to talk about the intro.
The last thing I wanted to mention is, of course, the addition to the opening credits, the intro this time. Ambassador, you knew what this was.
Yeah, I sure did. It was some god's hand.
The green hand.
But you said it was 2 things, and I totally didn't get the second thing. What was the second thing?
No, that's fine. I'm not 100% about the second thing. I think the second thing is the Tholians, because a big laser grid comes across everywhere, and I think that laser grid is a Tholian web.
But there was also a really loud sound. I wrote down, what is the loud sound at the end?
The loud sound is the
yeah. What was that?
And to begin with, I thought it was the whale probe, because I thought that was the noise made from the whale probe, but apparently it is Vija, which is from the motion picture, the first Star Trek movie, which is long story short, Voyager, the probe that's been sent out into the galaxy, there's 2 of them. In the motion picture, the 6th Voyager probe gets abducted by aliens, becomes intelligent, and then gets sent back to Earth as a galaxy-sized cloud of nebula, and it makes this loud noise when it dissolves people, and it goes wham. That's what that is. But the green hand is what got me. The green hand is like beautifully animated, just clutching onto the ball cube was incredible.
So, just for a second, every season,
yeah,
the intro to the show would indicate that the Cerritos revisits the same battlefield just to check in.
Yeah. Yes. And it makes the same choice every time to fuck off.
Something is happening. They're like, no, still no.
No, still no.
They just kind of come in. They're like, let's just check in on the scene. And then they just close the door quietly and exit. Okay.
Well, I also have a theory that there were 3 things added this time. And it's usually, I think, just 1 per season.
Right.
And I think that is 7 things that have been added because Lower Decks should have had 7 seasons, because then it would have been like TNG, Voyager, Deep Space Nine. So these are the 7 additions. Would Lower Decks had been given 7 seasons. So they just said, fuck it, and put them all into this. So I think that's a sign that this really is like, there's no last minute reprieve, last minute revival. Like this will be the last season. Yeah. That's my instinct. But anyway, all good things. So I've got like loads of little sins. It was kind of tricky episode to send because it's Lower Decks, of course. But one, I've got the bad guy exposits all of the info that the good guy needs about the room. So it's the guy at the beginning that says, I can control the entire ship from this control panel in the room. And that's exactly the information that Tendi needs to then bloop, 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 do her thing. I'll just keep going through mine if you didn't have any others.
Nope, go for it.
Rutherford talks to Otherford and says, what about your guts and goo? Like, you removed them all. And he's like, yeah, I removed them all so that I could exist in space and whatnot. But what about the skin on his face and his eyeball? That's still being exposed to space. He didn't replace those.
Somehow. Yeah, that's true.
They should melt away as well or be frozen in space.
They're just all really actually pieces. Like,
It's
is he 100%? Yeah, he's Rutherford.
The biggest sin of the episode for me was adjusting Rutherford's personality without consent. Just give me a second. I'm going to make this slight adjustment to this complete stranger that I've just met. And Rutherford adds some extra personality bits to him and changes who he is fundamentally as a person just because he thinks it's the right thing to do. It's very Starfleet of him to try and change somebody like that. Did that not like tweak you when you saw that happen?
I wasn't listening.
To the episode or what I just said?
What you just said. I was trying to read through some of the sins to see if there was one that you wanted that would be like a good one to add.
The personality button thing. Rutherford presses the personality on the back of his head.
I don't like it.
Changes. I thought you'd have an issue with that as well.
No, it just continues to make me question like what Rutherford really is. Kind of like I'm questioning whether Lon?
So, who are we talking about?
The Vulcan?
Oh,
T'Lyn.
Oh shit. T'Lyn. Well done. You did it.
I'm questioning if she's actually from the other side. For real.
Oh, interesting. Because the remarkable, whatever the other word is, it's such a subtle difference that you wouldn't know.
It is.
Yeah.
And she's so straightforward that it would be really easy to just slide her in and kind of make you wonder if that's something that they're going to do. But so that leaves me curious. And the Rutherford thing is, I think it's just always going to bug me that I think that we're just seeing whatever version of Rutherford is working best for Rutherford to survive the Rutherford. But I like him. I still like him. But
Still
it's kind of like Data, right? Like Data had a personality that the show showed us. And then if something happened, Data's personality would shift. And it sucks because you're like, oh, there's a part of you that can be overridden. And for Rutherford, there is a part of him that can be overridden. And that makes me sad.
It makes you want
dogs now.
Yeah.
Boys. No. Okay, I'm back now.
It's always like, how much is Rutherford? How much is programming? It's like hologram. I had this biggest problem with the holographic Doctor in Voyager. I was like, how much of you is personality? How much of you is programmed personality? But then you say, aren't we all just programmed personality based on our experiences? So it's an interesting philosophical question.
It is an interesting philosophical question. I do, while you've been doing your sins, I have been looking at the sins, and I did want to give a sin removal because I didn't see this one. I thought it was interesting. This is from Sci-Fi Brony saying, sin removal, Alt Boimler reverse Rikering over the chair. Did you see that?
Oh, shit, the bed. I missed that.
I know, it's fun.
Totally missed that. That's amazing. We have seen Riker do a reverse Riker as well. It's one of the best things to mock Riker for the way he mounts chairs. And then to see him commit to it by reversing the leg over the chair is beautiful. It's amazing. I had a doubles argue with each other cliche, which is complicated because it kind of works in this episode for me. One of the other things I just wanted to address was the callback to season 1. We've got Becky and Beckett are talking about Boimler getting nommed on by the spider and he screams out my bones. We've got the backwards Vulcan salute. There was another reference in episode 2 as well. And I was like, wow, we're at a stage where it's interesting. We're referencing our own show. And I guess that's just a final season thing to do. It always feels a little bit unnecessary, a little bit victory lappy, but we'll see how often it happens. But yeah, stood out a little bit to me. The last one that I had for this episode was I think I would be scanning all of my crew to make sure that all of the doubles are the doubles that I want and not the doubles that I don't want, just as a matter of course. Like, I think that should be part of the protocol. Like, when you meet yourselves, you have to have a way to know that you're getting yourselves back on the right ship. Because this switcheroo happens so much.
Yeah, you're 100% right. There should be some kind of a protocol to just make sure.
Yeah.
But no.
Just to be sure. Especially your command crew. Like, especially the people, your bridge officers. If nothing else, the bridge officers are pretty important. Okay, with that, Ambassador, are you ready to beam back to 10 forward?
I just want to mention that my prediction was right.
Which one?
That Mariner dies.
Nope.
Because she kind of did get replaced.
Nope.
But okay.
Nope.
Okay. All right.
Not allowing that.
Moving on.
To the beam out.
Okay.
This is the part of the no shit. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab something from the replicator based on Shades of Green and talk about our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode that we just watched together half an hour ago. Most important question first, what is your thing of choice from the replicator based on this episode, Ambassador?
Ooh, I think I'm just going to nom on a beautiful gem. I'm going to put pearls in my mouth.
I'm going to remember
isn't
nothing
that what the guy did?
Yeah.
The one of the final lines is, get those pearls out of your mouth.
Yep. I want a solar sail ship, honestly. I don't know. I think I would have to replicate it in different parts and then build it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you wanted one of those like speed racer things because it's like, oh, it's fine. I'll just replicate my own now. And then Mariner goes, oh, good for you.
Good for you. It's my favorite running gag through the episode. All of the obstacles that are there that shouldn't be there in a post-scarcity society. They're just like, oh, why are we in line? Everything's free. Let's go. Yeah. Immediate thoughts and feelings. Did you like this second episode, Ambassador?
No, but yes.
No, but it's beautiful.
I mean,
perfect review. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Do you know what it felt like? It felt like a regular episode, and I think that my standards for the final season might be just a teensy bit too high.
I had that feeling as well. In fact, I kind of felt that for both episodes. I was like, they're very safe. They're very like kind of mid-episode episodes.
Yeah, and that's understandable in some degree, but I at the end of it, just like I did the first episode, I asked myself, what do we think? What do I think? What is the writers need to happen in this episode that serves the entire story, that serves the last season? And I think that they needed Tendy's backstory to come to an end. And I think that they needed to spend the bulk of an episode to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So this was that. This was how they addressed that. And now with that done, I think we're going to see the rest of the episodes feeling much more like Lower Decks, instead of now the crew is back together at the end of this episode. So there's no more wondering how Tendy's going to return,
Yeah.
And given my curiosities for T'Lyn being a switch out, this episode was really interesting because she shuttles it up. And I don't know if that would have been an actual T'Lyn thing, because it did seem like it maybe was based on like a historical friendship. Like she saw Rutherford suffering, wanted to help out a buddy. And so I kind of find myself thinking that maybe it really is T'Lyn. But I mean, there, who knows?
It would be I would anticipate even in episode 2 a little nod or something to look back on and think, that's weird. Like maybe even like the pop-up of Remarkable again or something. For me, this felt like a very T'Lyn thing to do, because she's not like the harsh Vulcans that we're used to. She is looking to take from humanity what she can take as well, and expand herself beyond what being a Vulcan stereotypically is.
And I feel like it would be a bit of a bummer, because this to me is an example of T'Lyn really becoming part of the team, because at the end she destroys the shuttle, which is such a great little story arc for the shuttle and what it represents, and T'Lyn trying to figure out where she is with the crew. So I think after this episode, I'm pretty confident that it is our T'Lyn and not the spy T'Lyn. But it was a little, and then maybe her trying to do a joke is completely normal. Like that would be something that
I love that so much. Oh, the shuttle has been destroyed. Whatever should we do? I love that deadpan delivery.
And also the deadpan delivery of her saying fantastic or whatever the phrase was that was different. When the last episode, when she's like, I'm just joking,
Yeah.
It's hard to kind of read into that a little bit. But
I also think I think this
episode's all about her. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think it would be doing her a little bit dirty as well if it was the duplicate, because T'Lyn has been a fan favorite. Like, she was introduced in season 2 in one of the best episodes that we haven't watched yet. And then she became a series regular, and people love T'Lyn. So I think to not have her in the final season might be a little bit of a kick in the wedge douche.
The wedge douche, yes.
Yes.
But yeah, I think the episode dipped a little bit for me because I'm wanting my crew to do some stuff, and but it still was fun. So I don't think it's dipping into like the one pip territory by any means. It wasn't something that made me angry. It was just because like the two things going on is basically getting I just completely forgot her name. Green gal. Tendy. It's getting Tendy back to where she needs to be. Yes. Tendy back to the crew. And then it also has Boimler and Mariner sort of swapping a little bit of an approach to an away mission. But I think we've seen that before.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry. This is gonna
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I thought that there was one where Boimler was really trying to be like more laid back.
Oh yeah, this is in season 4, I think, when he's like promoted to lieutenant and he's trying to be the cool commander and he's trying to be like more confident. Boy, it's like action Boimler. No, I always get this wrong. It's bold Boimler. He's going through like his personality change.
That's right. So I feel like that was already kind of been done, but in this episode he has his manual from the version of himself that has become like this really bold and confident captain with the beard. So we're seeing him start to grow his little mustache. And then we're seeing Mariner level out a bit and want to take things seriously, but still is okay with having fun. There's a mystery going on. Potentially 2 people have died. So there's like, that was okay, but I feel like I've seen that before. So for me, it was just, where are we going, guys? The whole time I just kind of felt like, where are we going?
That's the bit I engaged with the least. The Boimler finding himself thing still. I think I didn't expect this, but we were so worried about Mariner spinning her wheels, we forgot that Boimler would also be spinning his wheels. Like, I like what's happening with Mariner, where she's a bit more level. She's finding her path that matches her personality and finding a compromise of being in Starfleet as well. Boimler is still a bit lost. It reaffirms for me that this is Mariner's show. Like, this is Mariner's TV show and everyone else co-stars.
And this is just Tendy's episode, I guess.
Yeah, and this is a Tendy focus episode. I do like the adventure that Boimler and Mariner are on. I'm just not super engaged with Boimler following this perfect version of himself in his head and then hiding that, hiding the pad and hiding what he's trying to do and emulating the other Boimler. Like, I hope where this goes is that Boimler stops trying to fucking emulate people. And I know that's probably just a core part of his being, but he's always trying to emulate somebody. And I hope he finds in this season himself. Like, he doesn't have to emulate somebody. And he has yet to really embrace
his
the
own
type
confidence.
of officer that he is. And maybe that's a person that isn't super confident. Maybe it isn't a Ransom. Maybe he isn't Riker. Maybe he is Geordie. Maybe he is just somebody else. Maybe he's Reg Barkley. But most of all, I want him to just be Boimler, and I hope that's where he ends up going.
I can believe that he would be reading somebody else's material because he's just been so insecure for as long as I've been watching him. The Bold Boilerman episode was just kind of like a one-off, and then seeing him in this alternate version of himself last episode was really nice and going, oh, look what you could be, calm, not freaking out. That's nice. But we do love the Boimler scream. I think the uncomfortableness maybe of Boimler still not knowing himself, Mariner figuring herself out, and then you got Tendi doing her thing where they've decided to go ahead and engage in this war, and then they have to do a pod race to win. And
yes, they do.
And that's an interesting concept. So, but what I find to be like, I don't know, this really annoyed me the whole time is Tendi just not saying what she knows, and this is how so many soap operas are all designed, which is the character discovers a secret, makes an assumption, doesn't get clarification on it right away, and it just drives the entire plot. And you know the secret, and you're just waiting for the fucking characters to talk about it and figure it out. What I love, so it was annoying. Tendi annoyed me greatly this episode. How she was trying to overly care for a pregnant sister, and but this episode does reveal some of, like I mentioned before, the Orion way, which I think is fascinating to think about. So they're pirates. And when it finally shifted into that Tendi was the only one who didn't know because the sister was keeping it a secret, so that Tendi didn't feel the obligation to stay for 14 years and train her daughter.
I really like that.
I like that. And I also loved, my mom had me while she was in the middle of a battle. My mom had this idea that there's these women that they don't turn into pillow incubators for the children and try not to let anything hurt them, but rather just boldly live their lives fearlessly and birth other wildly warrior-esque children. And Tendi sort of represents this very different way of birthing children. And so it was, but the whole, get there faster because everything else was like,
it drags it down, doesn't it? I love where it ends up, but I hated the journey so much. I recently had to drive a lot, and the 6-hour drive to Scotland was interminable, but getting there was fucking incredible. It was so worth it. But get us there any other way, because I love the reveal that she's hiding it from Tendi so that she doesn't have to fulfill this obligation. I kind of like that the crew were already in on it, But it's so like it's very samey to hear Tendi like tiptoe around all of these tropes and be protective and sit her down. Well, even that doesn't make complete sense in my head because Tendi knows how Orions give birth. She knows how they live. Like she's acting very human, and it's just like it felt really, really hard to connect with.
It was hard to connect with. If that was the part that maybe if I was finding myself to tip over into the annoyed category of watching an episode, it was in that arena. The rest of it, I was kind of like, okay, this is just we're just doing this thing. You know, you've got the adventure series. And then as mentioned, this episode is designed to bring Tendi's kind of Orion piracy owes her family all of this adventure to an end. Now, let's just like take your assumption that we were supposed to have 7 seasons. Let's take that assumption for a second.
Yeah.
Maybe the Tendi stuff was supposed to last longer.
Yeah,
you know,
that's my instinct as well.
A war, and then this was going to be the eventual end, and they had to like go, we got to take that whole backstory and put it as the A plot for one episode. What do we do?
We need Tendi back on the ship. Yeah.
And maybe the idea of the child was going to be a huge storyline for Tendi, having to like meet this child, raise this child. Maybe she wasn't going to come back for 14 years. Like, we don't know. We have no idea.
Yeah.
But they had to rewrite, maybe, I'm guessing, massive assumptions on my part. And then this is what we get. So to the writers, perhaps this child story was really important to what they had created that we don't know about. And so when they decide to spend more time on a specific angle, it just makes me wonder, like, if that was something that they were really attached to. And so this is a way for them to have kind of honored things that we'll never see. And that's part of the creative process. I mean, you and I experience this in our job all the time, is how much do we write that will never see the light of day?
Oh my gosh. I've just experienced that probably to the highest degree I will have ever experienced it on a very chunky script. It's difficult. Who knows how many ideas
they're not there.
This, I mean, Lower Decks came from Mike McMahon writing Star Trek TNG season 8, and he would release like little snippets of story through his Twitter account, and it's like, this is what season 8 of TNG would have looked like. And from what I understand, that basically got him the gig of doing Lower Decks. So like, and then so many ideas like from a follow-up series to TOS called Phase 2. So many of those ideas got scrapped and then eventually worked into TNG. Like, it's so insane to think of how many stories have been written that will eventually be reformed or just never get seen. So I think that makes sense.
As a content creator, we might put something into a script as a nod to us knowing something that was really valuable. The audience might not get it. They might not relate to it. And that's kind of how I felt with Tendi. I kind of just wasn't really relating to why, but I think it probably made sense to the writers. And so I'm just going to move on from it and say that at the end of this, we have this resolution that everything is fine. She's going to have a warrior baby. Tendi gets to go back to Starfleet clean and clear. And then because of what was going on with this other society who was getting rid of all of their wealth to embrace this kind of new way of living, all of that wealth is going to be funneled over to the family. Now, I think there's probably some questions about how
it's in my sins
works. That's probably very sinful according to like Starfleet stuff, but
feels like it.
It felt very much like we're moving on from this because we can't explain it, because then we would spend 2 or 3 episodes doing this and we only have a few to go. So I'm sure the original version was going to really get into all of that, but this is where we land today. And I was like, okay, great. Everyone's back together. Now we can have fun. And that's how I feel after episode 2.
It's one of my biggest like frustrations with this type of storyline, when you have a character that leaves that you know is coming back, because you have to do it. It can't not feel like you're spinning your wheels a bit, because the thing you're working towards getting back to is backwards, because like they were on the ship, they left, and now you have to work back to the place that you started at. So no matter how like great that story is, that always feels a little bit, let's go. Like when you know the ending, sometimes that can affect your enjoyment of how you get there, because you already know she's going to return. So I'm glad they did it quick. Yes. You could also argue they maybe didn't do it quick enough, but it's
But
yeah, it's interesting.
Had she come back at the first half of the season, like of the episode 2, it wouldn't have made much sense for episode 1.
Yeah,
they would have really
agreed,
had to have said episode 1 was starting off with them saying, we accidentally started a war, and then giving us part of this episode in episode 1 and getting us there a little bit sooner.
But it also makes sense as to why they released both episodes at once, because this is functionally one episode. With
in a way.
Couple of B and C plots. That,
definitely in a way.
Sprinkle along.
Mm-hmm. And I liked too that we have the tension of the shuttle being fixed. And how did that feel for you? Because I know you've been watching Lower Decks for a long time, and the shuttle is sort of like the project of the Friends. I guess it would kind of feel like someone came in and cleaned up something that we keep dirty for a reason and didn't know about that. How did that feel? Did you feel like it was like, finally the shuttle is fixed, or you're like, oh, my crew didn't get to do it? Like, how did that make you?
It's the function of the project is the thing. It doesn't matter what the project is, it's the teamwork. And that's exactly the theme that they were hitting on. Was to a Vulcan, the most efficient thing is to get it fixed. She thinks she's doing a great service to them.
Right.
But actually, we're humans, and apparently Orions do this as well. We are very awkward, and for some reason, we struggle just spending time together. We have to have a function. We have to have a purpose.
Right.
We struggle to meet and just talk sometimes unless there's a productive thing. Like if you can have
D&D.
we play D&D, we play Minecraft, we do a video game together. It feels like you're being more productive because talking to each other isn't productive in and of itself. And that is I don't know if that's true of the cave people or something everybody has a job and does something with their life that isn't just existing. Like after having to do that for centuries, is that now so ingrained in our culture and society that it leaks into how we feel able to talk to each other and exist together? There has to be a productive element to it because we have to be constantly fighting. We have to be trying to get money so that we can pay the bills and pay the rent. So all of that productivity feeds into our being able to exist.
There you have it.
Look at that.
Wow.
Philosophy on Captain's Pod. Who knew you should know this by now?
Twice.
Twice in one episode. Star Trek people. Star Trek's
At least
important.
2 times, maybe more.
Maybe more. But yeah, I love that they addressed it. I knew that T'Lyn was going to end up dismantling the thing.
I did too, yeah.
To a point where it was like worse than when they started. At the beginning of the episode, it's looking kind of badass. Like it's getting there. It's got like guns on the front. It's got teeth. It's the most like kind of finished we've seen it, which makes sense. And T'Lyn just like stripping this thing. It's so funny.
If she's going to destroy it, she's going to destroy it the very, very best. I saw in the chat that there was something about the Guji badge was helping.
Oh,
T'Lyn.
I missed that.
I missed that.
Yeah, I totally missed that Guji was the good version of Badgie was actually helping out. I missed that. So good catch to the live chat and well done to people at home. Reminder, we watched the episode once, grab a cup of tea and dive in, and we're doing this for 2 episodes this week. So apologies if we didn't mention all of your favorite references and whatnot. It's going to happen.
But you can always write to us and tell us about it.
Please do. Please do. I'm sure there's stuff we missed. I liked pointers because I like a good wordplay. I enjoyed that Boimler is giving out pointers to his team.
What I love about the show is that some character says what I'm thinking, which is stop saying pointers.
Yes, stop it. Stop now. The other element of the episode that I really liked from a Star Trek nerd point of view is the exploration of post-scarcity society and the abandonment of capitalism into, hey, we've got replicators now. Doesn't that undo fucking everything about our society? It's why the Prime Directive is so important. And it's one of the few storylines that hasn't been, to my mind, explicitly properly explored. Like, what happens to a culture when suddenly they don't depend on these bits of paper that we've assigned value to, when you technically don't have to work to get food and to pay bills. There is enough housing for everyone. There is enough food for everyone. Holy shit, how does that change everything from the ground up? Now, this episode didn't completely go into that, but it did its Lower Decks thing of kind of just nestling alongside it.
Yeah, it showed some of the extreme, like, funny moments that you would imagine, people burning money and writing it from the sky and oh, sure, you can have my car because I can just replicate a new one.
It literally does not matter. Yeah.
But then the idea that some people wouldn't be okay with it and that they would be retaliating somehow, which is how the ensigns are taken and have to be rescued. So, it gives just enough of a glimpse that Boimler and Mariner have something to do this episode.
Yeah, and that it really is about giving them something to do. I think I don't know that Mariner has a great amount of progression. I think Boimler, like you said, explores something we've already explored, which is there are multiple ways to command, and he's got to find a way that works for him. Thank goodness for me. I don't know if this humor worked for you, but the guards gardener bit got me. Like they just cracked me up. The guard, oh no, I forgot to water them. I failed as a guard and a gardener.
Oh yes,
fucking slayed me. That's so good.
Those robots were the needed humor of this episode.
They were. They were crucial.
Yeah, when they're like, they've just added guns to the sweepers, and then she chucks something, and it doesn't really do much. That worked for me. Yeah. And then the one that has this existential crisis about like, oh no, like they had this moral quandary because somehow their programming allowed them to contemplate that.
Amazing.
So that was really fun. That kind of brought the episode up a little bit for me because again, Tendi was bringing it down.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I get it. It ends up where it needs to end up. But yeah, it's a frustrating. It's been a long road to get there. There's a couple of other lines that I really loved. When Tendi's sister is tied to the chair, and she's like, "I'm gonna feed you to snakes." That's right, snake for a snake. And Tendi's just like, "Snakes don't eat snakes." It's such a sibling argument to have. Like, I do love them as siblings. Like that was really believable and really well played out.
I agree. Yeah, the opening sequence of you have them like sneaking into this facility, but it's actually just them planning, and the mom coming in. Okay, kids, you've been planning your thing for so long. It's time to go to bed, and they're like in their PJs and just eating the slugs or whatever. That was a really cute kind of moment to give us that sort of confidence that the writers have decided that the sisters get along, and the writers have decided that the sister who wants, the younger sister who hated the older sister, they're fine. And she's making a sacrifice to not tell her sister that she's pregnant, not to tell Tendi. So they really kind of gave us in a very quick fashion enough that we need to know that they are an established family now. I also liked how the family didn't overreact to no longer being wealthy. It was really
that was fun.
Fast. They got there quick.
Yeah. But I was okay with that because it feels like it should be pretty fundamental. It feels like it should be pretty world changing, and they're just like, well, at least we're not going to get assassinated anymore.
Yeah,
but again,
all right,
like
we have less problems.
Post scarcity, like they have replicators and stuff. What do you need the wealth for? It's really like a reputation thing more than their physical wealth. But then again, I know the Orions do things a little bit differently. This was kind of like tangentially a callback to an episode of Voyager where there is a race that the crew of Voyager takes part in, and Tom and B'Elanna are having this big argument, and they resolve this argument while they're going through this race course. So there's kind of like the cliche of solving a conflict with a race has popped up in Star Trek a few times. It's kind of a nod to that as far as I could see. Couple of the other gags that I really loved was Ransom addressing the fact that Boimler kept using Mariner's comm badge instead of his own. Like, hey, I'm glad to see you're using Mariner's comm badge. Like, did you own? You down one? Okay? Just, it's a great gag that I don't know that I would have spotted on my own because there's no reason for him to not use his own comm badge and chime in. So that's so funny to me. And I liked that the aliens with their big, I guess, ears that are then tied up on top of their head. On top of their head. Just incredible alien design. Do
your ears hang low? Do the wobble to and fro?
Yep. I mean, I love that throwaway alien design. Like, I look forward to one day, 15 years from now, where we see the live action version of those aliens, and we're just like, they did it! The crazy aliens from Lower Decks with the ears, and now they're live action. It's beautiful. I love that about Lower Decks.
I liked the other thing that I would mention is that there's this moment where they're all waiting in line to go to the museum, and then they realize they don't have to wait in line, and that was funny.
Oh, it's so funny. Why are we waiting in line? Everything's free now. Yeah, it's fun. Good stuff. The more I think about it, the more it is kind of like an in-betweeny tacked on episode. I'm glad it wasn't. I don't think it would have held up as well if we watched it on its own and we just came to it. I think it would have been I think it would have suffered a bit just as a standalone episode. In fact, I don't know that it even works as a standalone episode because the Tendi stuff follows straight on from the previous one. So I think it's a bit of a weird one.
I think it needs to be a 1-2 hit. And they did it. They got us there in 2 episodes. Now,
they did what they needed to do.
The third one does something that tells us a little bit more about where they're going to go as a season, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, let's make our last trip back to engineering to the beam out again.
I give it a pips and the pips.
Oh, fuck's sake. Give us some pips.
I love pips. I'm going to go with a 2.79. You're welcome, Slab.
Wow, that's not a thing. I'm going to go 2 pips. Yeah, this one, it's fine. The humor beats raised it up a little bit, but it's a 50%. It's right there in the middle. 2 pips.
Yeah. Two pips. 2.5, 2.79, somewhere in that range.
7.5?
2.4, 6, and 3.
Nice.
Something like that.
This is the part of the show where we re-engage us in brains. We remind ourselves that no TV show is without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. Ambassador.
I mean, we've already kind of covered the things I didn't like about it. So I don't think I want to hit it too hard.
We had we had the secret pregnancy cliche. We definitely hit on that. What else did I have? Yeah, race to solve problems instead of actually having a war cliche. Here we go. The gardeners. They mention how like these gardeners aren't prepared. They've just had guns strapped to them, the gardening robots, and yet they still surrender. I don't know why they surrendered. I couldn't figure it out because the weapon was strapped to them, to the robot. They didn't seem to have a way of using it. And they didn't really seem threatened at all, and yet ended up in the brig, in the prison. So I'm not too sure why the gardeners were a threat to Boimler and Tendi, Boimler and Mariner.
Yeah. Oh, here's a fun sin: listening to Boimler and researching anything, and then finding out that the beetle will make you pretend and then having the time to find the beetle.
Oh my gosh!
Then have the beetle
they've
bite
been
you.
Kidnapped.
Or is the beetle just everywhere? We don't know.
Yeah.
A very convenient beetle is convenient.
Very
convenient death beetle is convenient.
Yeah, very Beetle-venient. Beetlejuice. The crash landing looked really, really bad with the solar sail ship, but apparently wasn't that bad at all.
Not that bad at all,
like,
no.
Crash, they take off, they redeploy their sail, they manage to catch up.
Old.
There was barely even a MacGuffin to help them to catch up. It was just, we're pushing it as far as we can, and then the windscreen cracks, the view screen cracks, and that's it. So, yeah, hyper quick resolution for that one.
Super fast. Someone in the chat says the hole in the sail is gone at one point. I did not see that, but we're going to let Cameron take that one.
Yeah, I wondered if they deployed a backup sail, because it looks like they deployed a new one, which is fucking insane that they have a backup sail just built into there.
Just in case. Yeah.
So many backup sails. Kind of insane that Tendi doesn't realize that destroying the booty wouldn't be preferred by the Pirate Queen. She might take issue with that, considering the whole point is that they haven't been providing enough booty to the syndicate. And then she goes and vaporizes it and thinks they'll just be given a pass. Instead, she fucks everyone. Yeah. Come on, Tendi. You're smarter than that. Shades of Green is a reference to Shades of Grey, which is a infamous episode of TNG. It was the season 2 finale where they ran out of writers writing scripts because of a strike, and it was a clip show where Riker is in a coma and does flashbacks to his happiest, horniest, and saddest moments to get him out of a coma because a plant bit him. It's called Shades of Grey, and maybe that's the point, because Shades of Grey has nothing to do with that episode. Shades of Green has nothing to do with Shades of Grey. So maybe it's perfect. I don't know.
Wow.
Something's got me!
Is that a better episode than this one?
I like it better, but it's because it's a clip show of episodes of Star Trek that I like. So you're just showing me things that I like.
Maybe that's the sin, is episode reminds me that that I would rather be watching
a terrible episode. Yeah. It's I think it's the only time, I'm going to say it's the only time that TNG explicitly did a clip show where it was flashbacks. Like, episodes of Star Trek have revisited moments in their own timeline, but I don't think they've ever explicitly just replayed footage from previous episodes. Yeah. And my last big sin was the just economy destabilizingness of giving all of the diamonds and wealth from one planet to a largely criminal syndicate that isn't part of the Federation in the name of diplomacy. I don't know. It didn't sit right with me giving the Orions all of that money.
Part of me wants a little bit more of the debrief. Like,
yes.
Are they saying that Orion family is no longer part of the syndicate, and so they're not
it wasn't even the Orions, it was one family.
Yeah, because it's not, they didn't give it to the syndicate, they gave it to a family. But was that family still part of the syndicate, or are they just like helping them set themselves apart from the syndicate because they were kicked out? So in that case, they're just choosing to give it to an individual family, not even.
Yeah,
I don't know. I was
that
confused.
is meddling in the internal affairs. That is the definition of the Prime Directive. Like, that is something that I don't think you can get away with brushing away under the banner of diplomatic relations. Like,
yeah, because
it was super jarring.
It diplomatic if they weren't part of the syndicate any longer?
Yeah, I don't know how you.
It'd be like picking just a family anywhere out in the galaxy and be like, you know what, we're going to just give you this wealth.
Yeah, it's getting involved in a multi-factional civil war that the Orions kind of are. Like, I mean, you're definitely favoring the Orions over the Orions at the very most.
Right.
Very least.
But if they're part of that group any longer, I don't know. It was confusing to me.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very weird. It's a weird one to just brush under the carpet.
But don't worry. Everything's happy and fine because Rutherford and Tendi are reunited and they get to just be engineering nerds together.
Yeah, they are. They're all back. And with that, next week's episode is going to be called, it already is called because they've already named it, the Best Exotic Nanite Hotel.
Oh, that sounds fun. Let's do that.
Let's do it.
That's based on a movie, yeah?
Yeah, the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel is the homage, the nod. I don't know that there's any specific Star Trek links, but just all of that sentence is like here's your prompt to write a short story. And I love that because there's so many places this can go.
But does that disappoint you a bit? Because one of the things you're hoping that they would be doing is kind of solving the problems of old, and instead they're bringing up like movie references.
So I always guessed that would be the finale. That would be the last episode. I think it was always going to be too bold to make that the entire season. I would love it if the last two episodes were fixing finales, because the last two episodes tend to be like two-parters as well. So it would be great to me.
So the Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. Let's read a synopsis of that, because that's going to help us with our predictions, I think, right?
Wrong, but maybe.
Storyline. 7 elderly Britons, for a variety of reasons, respond to an online ad and travel to Wapur, India, where they find rundown hotel with young, exuberant, optimistic host. Okay. It all affects them in different ways. The host has dreams but little cash or skill, and a girlfriend whom his mother dismisses. Stories cross and discoveries await each other. Okay. All right. So we've got like a retirement clip. So this is going to be their retirement episode. Oh, this is when the A crew leaves the ship to the B crew.
They retire.
Yeah. This is it.
Well, nanites are definitely a reference to an episode of TNG where nanites run wild, ruin a science experiment, and kill a person thanks to Wesley. So it could be.
But why would they call it? Why would they call it the same thing as the movie? Because they're being butts?
Yeah, I think
Being
it's just
butts?
like the nanites are going to be on the run through a hotel and the Cerritos has to fix it. And I think it's just a fun nod. There could be more to it. I haven't actually seen
I
the
want
Best
them to
Exotic
retire.
Marigold Hotel, so
I
I
think
will
I
watch
did,
that.
but it was a really long time ago. Is that our homework? Is to watch a movie in a... Okay.
I cannot commit you to watching a movie. I can commit myself to watching a movie. I'm amazed I can commit you to watching an episode of Star Trek every week.
I am too. Cerritos becomes the hotel. Oh, that's fun.
that'd be
Let's do that.
amazing.
Yeah.
That would be
I
great.
like that.
What if it's a reference to Masks where the nanites manipulate Cerritos into a hotel and literally transform it? That would be amazing.
And Rutherford is the butler.
Yes,
He makes such a
I'm
cute
here
little
for it.
butler, just the most optimistic
He'd be
butler.
so happy. So happy. I think Rutherford will have the answer, being all robotic, and nanites are tiny little machines. Oh, that's interesting, because the nanites, I think, are given their own planet at the end of that episode.
Ooh, so then the A team gets their own planet and the B team takes over the Cerrito burrito. And,
Yeah, that too.
And scene. It's actually only 3-episode season, everyone.
Done. Finished. Yeah, we may be revisiting the planet that the nanites end up going to. That would be interesting.
Just a building floating through space, says a comment, that which reminds me of that episode of, I think it was Strange New Worlds, where the library was just like this big
Love
building that
that.
just existed.
Yeah. Was
Oh,
that
so
Discovery?
good. Was it?
I think it was Discovery.
Yeah, that was
There was the
Discovery.
archive.
You're right.
Yeah,
Yep,
I
yep.
fucking loved that episode. It was so good. So good.
So good.
That archive should have so many more weapons.
Not this episode though.
No,
So.
this one. Okay, everybody, thank you for sticking with us as we went through that marathon of Lower Decks. If you want to join us for the live show, we will be back next Friday, the day after the new episode launches, on Twitch at 12:30 Central Time. The episode covering episode 3 will be with you next week. You can get it a day early if you join the Sin Club through Patreon. Otherwise, you can get it in all of your podcast feeds and all of the places on Wednesday, 1 week from today. Although that doesn't help because you could be listening to this episode at any point. Anyway, it'll be with you next week. If you want to send us some mail, send it to captainspod@cinemasins.com. But most importantly, join our amazing community of Trekkie people over on Discord, discord.gg/cinemasins. It is truly a joy to jump in there and talk to everybody. It's a beautiful little community. And until next week, I'm Captain Ian, and I'm off to propose a gentle and supportive mutiny, a cutiny, if you will.
And I will never again choose the path of violence.
That's a lie. Live long and prosper. We did it! We did it!
Oh my god! In a pretty succinct time.
We did
didn't
it.
spend too much
We did
time.
great. No, I think
We
it's a
were-
testament to how nothing happened in that second episode.
Yeah, nothing happened. I did not like that episode as much as I wanted.
Yeah, I wasn't quite
I was
there
kinda
either.
that was a little sad. A little sad.
A little bit.
But we're back to you guys for just a little bit, and then we have more work to do.
Holy
Why? Because
shit.
we produce 5 videos a week for you over on YouTube and 2
we do.
podcasts every week. So without us doing that, we don't get to do this. So
Yeah,
we
we
have
do.
more things to do. So
I
I'm
love
gonna
this
go through the
episode.
comments.
Sorry. Yeah.
and see if there's something that we pinned that we can kind of just chat about. I know we have a Moopsy verses to get to, for example. But if you have any questions for us or any specific comments that you don't think we got to during the show, please let us know. I'm going to start with this one right here, which was, speaking of predictions, Sin removal, Tendy's captain's ready room. In addition to having a hologram of the Cerritos, she has a picture of the dog, and Ian's wish for season 5 is technically complete.
No, I think this was your wish, right? This was your prediction.
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure it was my wish.
Love
Yeah.
that. I love
So,
that you managed to
check.
predict. Technically.
Technically, yeah.
Tendy's dog is
Technically,
there.
that one's
Is on
done,
the
and,
ball, on
and
the
that
ship.
should definitely be in the outtakes of this episode because I want people to know that technically.
Technically, you were correct. The best kind of correct. Flyboy did mention that Ian, what was the TNG episode with the casino hotel that Riker, Data, and Worf were stuck in, and it is the Royale. That is unapologetically one of my favorite TNG episodes, and we will watch it at some point. I love the Royale.
Cameron says, I don't have any sins in mind for these episodes. I'm too busy fanboying at New Trek, but
Totally
I
fair.
howled at Boimler blushing when Ransom asked if he needed another com badge. That was really
So good.
cute.
Do you
There was
do you want me to send you one down?
He's just like, oh no, but his blush is like little flush.
Just stop using Marina's thing. It's amazing.
It's interesting too because animating a blush would be very it's sort of like it comes on and then it goes off, whereas just clicking like paint and fill a color is different.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really good.
Love that. Love that.
Oh.
Ah.
I have a prediction about the anticlimactic nature of this episode. I think this alt universe is the ongoing plot of the season. They will come back and there is a deception. Ooh.
Oh, interesting. That's interesting. I can see that happening.
This is an interesting one from David. Says the real sin for this episode and the second one too, really, is the competing A plots. I don't think we got to explore either the Orion story or the Dos Ritas story fully because of this. I agree. They felt pretty fast.
A and B in 25 minutes it's tricky, especially when you've got a finish line of getting Tendi back aboard the Cerritos.
Let's see. There was one that was about a quote. From Sci-Fi Brony, Sin Removal. It is possible to do everything right and still get your away team kidnapped by the corporate elite, referencing one of the best and famous Picard lines.
I love it. That scene is so good because Data is beating himself up because a biological person has beaten him at a board game, essentially. And he's like, I need to relieve myself of duty. I can't do this. There must be something wrong with me if I lost this game. Okay. And they need him. And Deanna has talked to him. Riker has talked to him. Picard then goes to him and says, fucking get on with it. Just get back to the ship. And Data's like, but I didn't make any mistakes. And Picard comes out with this incredible line. It's still possible to make no errors and still lose. And that's just part of being human. It's such a good bit of advice. You can do everything right and still get it wrong.
Yep. I'm trying to teach my child that. And it is difficult. It's because there's such an ingrained sense of right and wrong and what's fair and what's not fair. As a child, if someone else has a cookie, you do not understand why you also do not have a cookie. And that is true for the attention you get from every adult, or how somebody enters a room. Like, in their mind, everything should be equal and everything should be the same for them too. And fairness is just like teaching that life isn't fair is every day. Just I'm like, I get it. It sucks. Sometimes you do your very best. Oh, she had a test that was like on the computer, and there was a glitch. And so even though she clicked the right button, she got it wrong because the computer glitched. And so I said, sometimes that happens to me too, where I've done everything right. I know that I should have 100%, but for some reason, something else made me not have that. And it hurts and sucks, but life isn't about perfection. It's just about finding what we love to do and doing it no matter if we do it the best or the worst. So do you love doing math? Then just keep doing math, because that's what makes you happy. And just trying to get that into her head and into my own life too. Oh, it is a chore.
Life is a chore.
It's not fair.
No, it's hard shit.
There's this moment in the movie Wild Robots where the fox is like, I'll teach the kid how to swim, and just boots him into the water. It's that's kind of it. It sucks.
It's also kind of not.
You just get booted into the big end of life. You just jump in there and
booted out of a warm vessel and then into life.
Hopefully, if maybe somebody will help you along. Maybe they won't. You just have to kind of figure out what you want to fight for.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's more philosophy and deep thinking.
Hey, look at us go.
Show. I can't help
Even
it, guys.
more.
I can't help it.
Nope. It's what we do.
Slab ran it back. T'Lyn was on the bridge of both Cerritos, so if they switched, they would both have to have been in on it, and I don't buy that.
It's just lack of confidence in how sneaky Vulcans can be.
I like it. I like that. It was a bad idea to have all the Prime and BHU counterparts work together, but it did give Becky the chance to rip Roddenberry a little no interpersonal conflict on my ship.
Yeah, exactly. Love that. Love that. Oh, that shit. That's the other thing we didn't put into the fucking episode. One other.
Oh, stop the warp core sound.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One other thing that we can't possibly end the pod and omit and miss from this episode, it would be ridiculous.
We would never omit this. What are you talking about?
It'd be obscene if we accidentally missed this out and had to put it in post. We find out the Mariner Beckett name situation and Freeman. Her full name is Beckett Mariner Freeman. Wait, Mariner Beckett Freedom. Wait. Mariner Beckett Freeman. So Freeman is her last name. She goes by Mariner, which I think is her middle name, because
she wants to avoid
universe
being her mom.
Beckett is called Becky. Yeah. So it's Becky Freeman versus Beckett Mariner. So
Beckett
her full name
her first name.
Is her first name. Yeah. So Beckett Mariner Freeman is her full name.
But she just goes by her first and middle name.
Beckett
to
Mariner.
Avoid. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
But we find out.
earth-shattering information.
It is. It's a big question that we've had. Like, what's up with the surname thing?
Oh, yeah. No. You're right. So does that mean that she's just been falsifying paperwork and it's been something that has been intentionally overlooked by her mother the entire time?
I think she's legally changed her name, whatever that means in Starfleet, to
Okay.
Beckett Mariner. So
Would
she's
you ever
changed.
legally change your name?
Oh, there'd have to be a reason for it. It's not something I would do on a whim.
Or
it
a
would
want?
be.
Like, do you want to change your name?
Oh yeah, no, I don't want to.
It was just a question.
Yeah.
Just a
You
question.
just made me think. Yeah.
Like, my dad changed his name. My aunt changed her name. I changed my name.
Oh, did he legally change his name?
Yeah.
Wow, that's fun.
Like, on his ID, his first name is Hammer.
That's amazing. And yours is legally changed as well, or is it just a choice?
I don't have to because it is a legal part of my name.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah. No, actually, I remember that popping up as an issue with the some flight tickets.
Yeah, when I book my tickets, I have to book it as my legal first name, and then I put my legal middle name and my last name. Or when I go to the doctor, it's my legal name, but I don't have to actually go file paperwork. But if I wanted to, I could just go and just make that, like, just completely change my name around. Like my aunt, she completely changed her name.
Yes. Love that. I love the story behind that as well. That's so fun. Amazing. Yep.
Okay, back to it.
Okay, back to the outtakes.
More, of course, sound, music, and we're back.
Oh, yeah, Ian, have an easy week back on editing. Bloody hell.
Flyboy says, the first time my son told me to deal with it, one of my go-to phrases, I wasn't sure how to handle it. You know what? That's the thing.
Love that. Yeah.
Is every time Iris says something to me and it like hits me, I have to say, I did that. That's how she's direct, how she's not really considering someone else's feelings. That's an intentional thing I'm doing to make her confident in who she is. 2 days ago, I said, Iris, can I hold your hand for like 30 seconds? And she goes, no. And I was like, oh,
that's so jarring.
But it is not her responsibility to meet my emotional needs.
It's not.
And so I was just like, okay. And even though like I was really needing to hold someone's hand in that moment, that's not her responsibility. And good on her for being like, no, I'm not feeling like it. Like I love that. And for me to not shame her or say, no, you should, means that when someone else says, can I hold your hand? And she says no, like she doesn't have to hold someone's hand.
Perfect.
I don't know. It makes me so proud.
No, you're right.
That's the work. Yeah. That's what matters.
Yeah,
but
it's
I was
100%
like,
the right thing to do. But
she's so strong.
For me, I'm just like, hold my hand. It's so hard to not do that, but it's great. Like she should have that autonomy to say no, even with the people closest to her. Like, you are not obligated just because you birthed her. She didn't ask to be birthed.
Nope.
Yeah.
Well, maybe she did. We don't know how it works. I also can't be upset that after listening to me bitch about my lawn being mowed in a particular way, that she took it upon herself to confront my lawnmower when he was in the front yard one day and tell him that he was doing a terrible job. You know, like I can't be mad at my child.
She told him?
Oh my God. Did I not tell you about this?
No, you haven't told me this.
Okay. So I have a lawnmower guy who is just a dad. It's a dad-son duo. And they 2 years ago. They put a flyer on everyone's door. Hey, just trying to earn some extra cash. $35 to mow the yard. I can afford $35. I'm like, yes, okay, I've got a solution for my lawn. So, but they're just a father-son with a push mower. They're not professionals. They're not thinking about landscaping, and they have killed so many flowers, so many things that my friend Jen has like put in the yard and things like this. And so every weekend, my friend Jen comes over on a Sunday and she plants something with Iris. Every Saturday, he comes and mows it down. so Iris,
eats it up.
Yeah. So Iris would hear Jen and I complaining about it on a Sunday, and Jen would say things like, "What, does he not know how to do this?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry." And so Jen puts up signs. He mows over the signs. Like, it was a big deal. And so one day when Neil, this beloved, very kind man, was out in the front yard, Iris came out and said, "Who is this?" And I said, "Oh, this is Neil. He's the gentleman who mows our yard." And she's like, "Oh, are you?" And just took it upon herself to
I did not know that
tell him confidently that he was really messing up his job. And my favorite part was when you've done this and this and this, and she's kind of going through the list, and then she gets to the black. She's like, "And you mowed over my blackberries, and now instead of 3 vines, I only have 1, and I was really looking forward to eating blackberries this summer, and now I don't know if they're going to go to fruit or not. So can you stop?" I was like, this is my kid. I can't be mad whenever she heard that come out of our mouth.
I would just leave.
Yeah, I feel the pain,
leave.
Flyboy. I feel it.
Oh, shit.
Having a kid is fun.
Sounds it.
It's terrifying is what it is. Honestly.
Oh, boy.
Let's get back into it. Why don't you head into the comments and see if there's anything that's popping for you?
Yeah, did just want to do a quick, it looks like this has happened quite recently. Jerry Taylor has passed away, and Jerry Taylor is instrumental in writing a lot of the coolest episodes of TNG and Voyager. Like, her name in the credits is just everywhere. Like, her name is all over the credits for some of the greatest episodes in the history of Star Trek.
Wow.
Yeah, she's incredible, and she passed away.
Oh, that sucks. Ugh.
Yeah.
People
die.
People die, and it sucks.
Yeah, don't like it. Dislike.
Let's take a look. I want to see if there's any ones. Let's see.
What else did we have?
Okay, so during this time she received credit. She was the supervising producer of Suddenly Human, executive producer after that for the 7th season of Next Generation. She received credit for including Will Wheaton's final episode as a regular character, Final Mission, and the episode that introduced the Cardassian race.
Yes.
Which featured heavily in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, The Wounded.
Love that episode.
The first of 2-part episode was Spock unification, and the script she had said she's most proud of is The Drumhead.
Yeah, The Drumhead is an incredible episode. Very poignant, very, very prescient.
And then she worked with Rick Berman and Richard Piller to develop the 4th Star Trek series, Voyager.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was
she
Piller?
was like in it. Is it? Oh, Michael, what did I say?
Richard, yeah, Michael Piller.
Sorry about
Another one gone too soon as well, Michael Piller. He's great.
She wrote 3 Star Trek novels.
Nice.
And she's super ingrained in the community.
Yeah.
I also saw a picture of her, and she was wearing a uniform. So I wonder if she was like one of the background people or something in one of the episodes.
A lot of them end up doing that. Yeah. Susan Sackett, Gene Roddenberry's personal assistant and go-to person, is an ensign in one of the episodes of TNG, which is fun. Yeah. I did want to address this from Sci-Fi Brony. Ian not using an image from this episode. You will hear us talk about that in the outtakes. I didn't want to spoil myself, so I had to go with generic pictures that I hope will fit some of the themes.
It's going to be a thing.
It's just going to be a thing this season,
be a thing,
okay?
guys. This whole entire season. Yeah.
I don't want to spoil myself with images.
She's listed as the showrunner for the first 4 seasons of TNG. Wow.
That's fun.
Wow. Well, there we are.
Let's have a
I
look
think
through.
what's awesome is that her work and others' work, of course, allows us to do this show and to spend time together as a community. And we appreciate you
Absolutely.
all being here so much. We can't wait to see you again next week. Is there anything else you want to cover? Maybe Moopsie versus Blue Orion?
Yep, one last one. That's exactly what I was going to pull up. It's Moopsie, because the Blue Orions are pretty rubbish.
Orions.
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 Apparently that was because there wasn't a pronunciation guide on the script, so the voice actors they called them Orions
Orions. There
because
you
they
go.
hadn't seen the show.
That's amazing.
Yeah. This is amazing. Oh no. Orions. They are
Orions.
Ians or Ians.
Orions.
Orions. Or Ians. Shit.
What did you miss, Nick?
He missed us about to go. Bye, Nick.
We'll see you guys next week. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, you
Bye.
will. You're the best. Bye.